Good to go. Pretty awesome. All right, is it recording? Can you confirm that? All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Major Sam Freeland. I'm the director for the upcoming air show here in October. That will be 15th and 16th for the general public, and October 14th for base residents for the open house, STEM Expo, and air show. We're currently 30 days out from that, and our overarching theme for that is breaking tomorrow's barriers today, to celebrate not just the advancements that Edwards has contributed to directly, but those that we continue to contribute to and will continue to contribute to in the future. Slide. All right, so the next slide. This is just a big overview time-wise of the kind of footprint of the air show and what you can expect there. With us taking over the ramp and setting up with aircraft, I think for base residents, you'll probably primarily be concerned with the first day in green, and we'll get into those as well for the STEM Expo and the rehearsal day. Rehearsal, though, for those of you looking to come out as base residents, highly encourage it. Slightly a misnomer, it is the full air show. We are not planning to practice anything and change it throughout the weekend, so you will get that full experience, and that is the expectation with that, and then it will continue for the weekend. So that 14th is the day for base residents that I highly recommend coming out for that, where you will not have to compete with the general public for parking or other traffic concerns, and that is your day along with the STEM Expo students. Next slide. All right, what you can expect as far as other people you're going to see at the show or interact with there, we're going to have, I think the latest interest count was actually pushing about 15,000 students as they start to coordinate for buses. Some of those numbers are in flux, but Friday, school buses from the local area are going to come out here, and we'll expect somewhere probably between 10 to 15,000 students for that. They'll primarily be targeting Hangar 1600 for our STEM Expos, and we'll go through the full layout of that ever for their hands-on displays and things of that nature. Other things, we have estimates ranging from 30 to 100,000 people per day trying to get on and then off of Edwards for the Saturday and Sunday shows. So that is a significant amount of people, so a lot of planning has gone into working not just to get them onto the base effectively, but also to accommodate everybody else who has their daily lives here still. Next slide, please. The STEM Expo that Friday, open for the for the students at 10 to 1400 is kind of their window. They'll be allowed to arrive between 8 and 10ish is their window, and then after a ceremony in that hangar, opening up for them. Ton of industry leaders. We got the map coming up for that. 50 to 60 is what it says here. I think the recent update was 66 was the last number I heard of people who've had to volunteer for hands-on STEM displays targeting that younger audiences, students of a wide variety, for getting them involved from a lot of the leading aerospace industries in the area, schools, educational institutions, just a huge variety. You can probably find something in those 66 booths if you have kids and want to bring them out for that, so highly recommend that. Slide. All right, so here's the layout of that. Obviously, it's one of the largest buildings, if you're familiar with the flight line area that we have down there, and we are using it, other than some of the aircraft we can't move or the ones that are involved in the actual displays for interaction. You can even make out some of the names of some of the industries, but that is the booth. It is a large space packed with a lot of STEM, so there's a lot going on. You should be able to find something in there if you're at all interested in that. Highly recommend that, and it's going to make those ties from what we're doing out there on the flight line and those significant accomplishments from supersonic flight and beyond to these fundamentals that these booths are going to be able to demonstrate that tie into those things. Slide. All right, the next slide, the morning prior starting at 07:05, the FSS is putting on some events to include a run, yoga, and 10K bike. And standing by for the slide to work due to technical difficulties, but it'll have a picture of where those are on our ramp space and lake bed and utilizing that space to accommodate those prior to the rehearsal. There you go. I already talked about it. 7:05 it's going to start, and you can see the depiction and the routing for that. Obviously, the starting point is the most important, but for those of you looking for like the 10K bike ride, I think it's kind of a unique privilege we have here to be able to utilize that lake bed if you kind of look in the history of it and what you can do for their sites. I'm a big proponent of that. Slide. All right. FSS is also supporting the event through utilization of the Kid Zone, and that was we saw earlier in that hangar 1600. So in addition to the sim stuff, there's the Kid Zone activities there. There's gonna be an admission for that of $5. They can take cash or card. Card is preferred for the handling of money as well for that. But you can see some of those kind of representative events, and we got 3 simulators as well, and the Kid Zone. Slide. For FSS facilities and operating hours for things outside of the air show, if you're kind of wondering about your normal everyday concerns, golf, bowling, and the club will be closed during those. A lot of that people in support is going to be going towards the air show. However, the DFAC will be open if you're concerned about that. Slide. What you'll see, it is a laundry list. I am not going to read it all off here. I think some of those, for those of you who live here, you probably have gotten other Sonic Boom demos. The difference with this Sonic Boom demo is we're actually coordinating with NASA on how to precisely direct that a little bit better. So if you are in the vent in there, that is actually where it'll be targeted. So even though it's still within the airspace where they can do that, you'll get a little bit, probably more of a heightened experience if you are on the flight line at the event for what you can experience there in our coordination with that. The United States Air Force Thunderbirds are headlining for us, and we have the Wings of Blue putting on their demonstration. Pretty much every aircraft you can see here at Edwards is going to be participating in some kind of static or flying one. Get somebody there. And then we also have coordination. It is the Aerospace Valley Air Show. So in coordination with Mojave Air and Spaceport and all those organizations represented across there are also bringing out not just STEM Expo, but a lot of their aircraft that they want to display for us too. So as far as air shows go, in the Air Force and the DoD as a whole, we have a very unique, technologically advanced lineup. Slide. This is a draft lineup based on other commitments and things like this. I think this is probably the 85% solution, depending on who can get out here with aircraft and some other mission commitments for other aircraft, depending on who they're supporting, what they're doing, or any potential maintenance issues. So this is kind of our goal. For those familiar, this is about half of Ramp 1 for the size, so a significant amount of space there for the aircraft. And you've got Hangar 1600 in the upper right in blue, where the STEM Expo is going to be, so you kind of have some spatial reasoning for where that is going to be in relation to it. And then the large aircraft along the back, that's going to be, for those of you who've been to air shows before, probably some prime territory for shade, as well as 1600 for those of you looking to mitigate some of those effects of the heat, depending on the temperatures we get that day. Slide. All right. Security forces, hopefully it's a little more clear for the folks online. But we've got the north and west gates are open to the public. Currently expecting to open to the public at 08:30 to 11:30 is kind of our inflow target time. But I would caution you, and talking to other people, we haven't had one of these in 13 years, but it sounds like the interest in the air show is such that people are going to show up early. So I would be padding that. Most people, I'm telling them, hey, if you want to drive through that gate, you may be able to do it up to close to that, but you may get caught up in the traffic there. So recommending before 0700 as a DoD ID card holder for those north and west gates is probably going to be optimal for trying to avoid that traffic, because if you get installed in that, there's not a lot of good ways out of that. Other considerations. The west gate, the only outbound lane is going to be emergency use only. There'll be traffic control points to guide people through all of this. You will come in contact with somebody at an intersection well before this, and we'll walk you through a map of the expected transit area so that you will have to deal with this and it'll be the least amount of inconvenience. Prohibited items. This is an area of concern mostly just because living here, how easy it is to transport those things versus somebody maybe driving an hour and a half or 2 hours. It's basically similar. If you looked on aviairshow.com as our website, we have a list of prohibited items there if you forget this as well too. But obviously any weapons, explosives, pretty much anything you think could hurt somebody else is probably a good metric for this. But if you need the more detailed list, it's right there. Some of these are already banned on base anyway, such as federally banned substances. Personal drones, no flying quadcopters out there. There's a lot of unique air activity going on, as there usually is at Edwards, but that would pose a significant risk to others. None of your alternate ground transportation stuff, such as bicycles, rollerblades, scooters, skateboards, not going to be having that. That's too much of a hazard for the amount of public and people we have in that ramp space. is not acceptable there. And nothing larger than a backpack. And then, of course, all medical diaper things like that will be accepted. No large coolers either. And I think those are the main ones. Do bring, if you can, sunscreen, highly encouraged. Water bottles. We will have water refill stations lining the event as well too, so that you guys can keep hydrated and take care of yourselves. Slide. All right. We talked a little bit about this. Public traffic is going to be the biggest impact for everybody, and Friday is the target day, so I'll reiterate that. I think we've said that a few times right now, that Friday is supposed to be for the base residents, your DoD ID card holders, to really get them engaged in the show so that you aren't competing with the general public, so that you have kind of that dedicated day that is probably lower stress than some of those other considerations, especially for those of you who live near here. We already talked a little bit about what to bring, things I probably didn't mention here. Hearing protection, I know my family already bought that for my kiddos so they can actually enjoy it. So things that will make the event overall enjoyable for you, that is one. It is going to be loud. We're not going to have ATMs available, but they will accept cash. So if you bring cash, you can use it. That's absolutely fine. But their primary go-to is going to be cards. They will even, I think a question we got recently that we confirmed is they will accept cashless payment too, or contactless payment if that is how you choose to pay for things. Slide. Where you can park. Somebody did spent a lot of time going through and counting all these spots for us to make sure we have adequate parking for this within walking distance. I think the maps will speak to it a little bit more clearly about where some things are. We have some portions reserved for our performers, our STEM supports, our volunteers, the broad spectrum of people that are coming together to support this. But one thing Edwards has beyond that is ample parking within walking distance for a lot of other folks once you go outside of that bubble. Slide. All right. So you can see this is focused on that ramp area. Hangar 1600 is the building in the middle for orientation there. Yellow, kind of at the top portion of this, we're going to have some volunteer and stuff, and then right to the left of building 1600, just back from the ramp, as you can guess it, is your DV, parking, things of that nature, other support functions. The area that we would want you to focus on that is going to be there is the base employee and resident color, so that's towards the bottom of the legend there, but you can see that starts back there about 3/4 of a mile over by, is that test center parking? And that's the test center there. You can see, highly recommend a nice parking lot, downhill slope on the way there, probably a little bit uphill on the way back, but a good option there. Slide. And this has a lot more of the green. So this is your focus area. So if you're staying west of Wolf Avenue and north of, is that Yeager Avenue? You can see those parking spots there from the test center over to the mission support group area and even the LRS if you're familiar with those buildings and those function areas. Otherwise, you have this picture to kind of rely on, and if you can remember those roads and kind of those directions, that would get you in the right vicinity for you to narrow it down and find a parking lot that's appropriate within walking distance of the event. Slide. Not much else down on the other side of the ramp. That's mostly going to be our maintenance and performers, so not much benefits to residents in that area. Not a ton of benefit parking there anyway. If you had to walk around the ramp to get there anyway, it would add some distance. Slide. Continuing on with Friday. Here we have, sorry. Oh, this is backing out towards security forces. Okay, this is primarily the security forces area and their parking for their stuff, which is set back even farther than the resident parking for their staging so they can be prepared to support us for the event. Slide. All right, here's the big overview footprint and the big emphasis item here when we talked about how to avoid that traffic or what is going to get you on and off base. At South Lancaster Boulevard, running north and south there, right in the middle with the blue highlight, is the base resident path to get you to Southgate for kind of normal Southgate operations. You will notice it does cross the green path with the air show traffic. So we've established some priorities for that, with official business being the top priority. They can turn off the air show if somebody has to get to something on the other side there. And everything else, our system is we're going to have enough people there to engage and talk with you about what you need to do, and they'll assess how the airshow parking is, and they will have the ability and authority to stop the airshow traffic through there to allow base residents to transit back and forth. I would expect some delays. One, you're stopping there, and they're probably going to have to verbally talk to you to understand what you're doing, prioritize, and then they will have to get that traffic stopped to let you through. So it won't be the most efficient process, but it is an option for that during those time periods on Saturday and Sunday. So if you can avoid it, I recommend that, but by no means are you cut off from anything else or civilization out there. So you will be able to get back and forth, and that will be at the South Lancaster Road out to the South Gate is going to be primary for that slide. And if you want to transit that area just to get to the show on Saturday and Sunday, for some reason you're not able to make Friday or you want to come out over there, you can also transit it. And once you're over there, you'll notice you're on kind of the side of the line that the DoD ID card holders are. So you can cross South Lancaster, you can make a left on Wolf Avenue, and you can follow Wolf Avenue down towards other parking in that area. The rest of it will be marked off appropriately for the people who reserved it. And a lot of those parking spaces are going to look a lot like what you saw on Friday for making yourself at home and being able to attend the event. And you will have the same option on Friday. You can see the large star there next to building 1600 is going to be your entry control point where you'll go through, expect metal detector and some security forces vetting there to be allowed to enter the event. Slide. Saturday and Sunday, big picture overview here is we're going to have more contention for some of those volunteer and other spots. So it is going to remove some of that capacity, which is why Friday is obviously the target day, but there is capacity and you can still come out by all means for that. Once again, you're kind of looking definitely north and west of Wolf Avenue. Going to be up in there. If you're building 2750 AFTC area, in those green areas you can see set back a ways. Not necessarily the building 1600 parking lots that are immediately adjacent to that or contracting just on the other side of Wolf Avenue, but everything else is fair game and should be able to support anyone who wants to come out and missed it then. Slide. And once again, the other half of the ramp is going to be primarily the performer area and not much benefit as far as if you're trying to, unless you're looking for a nice long walk, most people probably not very desirable to be down in that area. Slide. All right. One of the things, if you've been around for a while, we already said 13 years, 2009 was the last one. So there's some key things left over that have survived as far as what we're trying to target and improve for this year. One of those is that traffic flow through Rosamond should be greatly improved. California Highway Patrol has really stepped up. Big thanks to them for managing those intersections in Rosamond. It is not just going to be the regular stoplights there. They're going to facilitate getting traffic through there efficiently and effectively. And that's not just going to benefit getting people into the show, but those leaving the show. If you were there in 2009 for the amount of traffic that collected on base, getting them out of here in an efficient manner too so we can resume normal operations. We're using a bonus lane at the West Gate too that'll also keep that out of there. And then when we reverse flow on the egress, we'll have 3 lanes available. So that's extra lanes since 2009. We got a couple extra paths to and from the lake bed, both to get them off there and once again get them in there efficiently and out of there, which should have the least impact to everyone else here. Yep, and California Highway Patrol is making that Highway 14 traffic a priority. We also have just being 13 years later, technology and our ability to reach people. We'll have an app out, we'll have our website, social media, and we plan to have signs along the highway so that when we are at capacity, we will be able to message that to guests trying to attend so they can make that decision to turn around earlier and they will have that understanding. The big benefit to those on base is that they are not still stuck there, that they should turn around and be able to leave instead of having a large traffic jam that persists until they get up to the gate to find out it's closed. Slide. Cool. I already mentioned the website, avairshow.com, your prohibited items list, frequently asked questions, dates, times. That is made primarily for the general public, but I think most of you, if you're a base resident, could probably discern some points from that and just your understanding of the base of, hey, if I want to avoid this particular component of that, if I understand that, you could probably get that information and understand some of it there. And the other big component for that, you can go there. There's a support volunteer component of that. If you want to be involved in the air show, this is a huge part of it. huge personnel lift, and it isn't just the personnel of Edwards, it's the community of Edwards and the community of the Aerospace Valley. So if you want to go there and volunteer, we have lots of roles and places for needs, whether it's to support our concessionaires, to keep guests fed, helping out with STEM, guiding students, buses for parking, some other things like that. Maybe it's just picking up trash along the ramp to make sure it doesn't affect any of our aircraft operations, things like that. But there's a wide spectrum of things, and we need a large amount of people for that. So if you want to go above and beyond and get involved in it and volunteer, we'd love to have you out there. Go ahead and sign up, and when you do, we'll collect your name and information, and we'll put you in touch with a functional area that will kind of manage where you're going to volunteer and what you'll do with that. So please get on the website and sign up if you can, and we'd appreciate it. Questions?
Okay. I am an Air Force civilian employee. Will I be able to access the South Gate with my family, who will be in my car, which I will be driving?
Yes, we do have Trusted Traveler. You could do that, but our preference is that you target Friday. And you use any gate you want on Friday with that Trusted Traveler component. If you do that over the weekend, that gate is primarily targeted for our vendors, our performers, and other people who have an active role in there. So if enough people target Saturday and Sunday and utilizing the South Gate, there is a potential that they could interfere with other people supporting the air show. So Friday, we're trying to put on the show for those people who can access it like that and utilize the Trusted Traveler program in any gate they want, and probably a lower stress day overall to target Friday. So that's what we recommend, but yes, you can do that.
Okay. Next question. For the north entrance of the air show off the 58, do I exit off at Roseman Boulevard?
58 should just be the Edwards Air Force Base exit. So I don't live out that direction, but I did drive it yesterday on the way to Bakersfield. And I just, if you're 58, we highly recommend the North Gate. When you compare the 2 gate entrances to the 3 at the West Gate and the amount of demand the West Gate is going to have, statistically, it's probably better to use that North Gate off of 58 for that. Other than following the signs on 58 for Edwards Air Force Base, that's what I do.
Okay. Is there any shuttles or other options to get on base other than driving ourselves?
No, you're going to have to provide your own driving. If you come out Saturday and Sunday and you hop in with the general public traffic, you will be routed out to the lake bed, and there will be buses and shuttles there because that is about a 1.1 mile distance from the lake bed parking ECP points to the event. Otherwise, there's the other parking spaces there, so you can drive, you can cross the traffic if you need to, and go self-park in the areas for DoD ID card holders.
Any questions from the audience?
No. Cool. ADA parking? That's a good question. For on these slides or for general public parking day?
One of the questions on there said where would be for ADA parking?
So I can speak off the top of my head. I know for the general public days for Saturday, Sunday, the front rows of that lake bed parking, if you come in the West Gate, it is going to keep traffic in the right lane, which is going to position them well. And you can always get parked and ask one of our parking attendants if you're curious too. We have surplus of parking. If you need to park, ask a question, and then they can route you to the front. But on all our parking rows, when you see how they're lined out parallel with each other, the very front row of all our parking along the lake bed will be our ADA parking. For the general public days, I don't know if we've identified that for the Friday. I know for the student buses and where they're parking, we have ADA compliant there. But I don't know if we have anything beyond that other than it's all within 0.75. But Saturday and Sunday definitely have ADA compliant parking. Anything else from the audience?
Will the slides be available?
I'm not sure. Do you know how do they get distroed? Is there?
Public Affairs publish what we can on the website.
Okay. Okay. Public Affairs will publish what we can on the website. We'll have to kind of scrub that for what we can and can't. Some of the maps and other things of that nature we may not be able to, but what we can, we will publish on the website.
So STEM has been getting a lot of questions about if they are on base and their kids go to the school on base and that school is not bringing the kids that day and they want to bring them, I would suggest that they talk to the district to find out if they can be and excuse them, but they have to coordinate with the school district themselves.
Okay. The question we received was, or has been received through our STEM coordinator, has been revolving around maybe my child's school is not participating in the STEM event, but I would still like to take my child there. And there's a lot of unique dynamic factors depending, one, on your own personal choices and as well as your school policies. And the current directive is coordinate with your school and their leadership to see if they can be an excused absence for that, especially seeing as how it is a STEM event with some educational value. And if you can explain that effectively and work within your school's policies.
Are Alice packs allowed? You guys know what that is? It's all capital A.L.I.C.E. Packs.
Alice packs. We're looking up what an Alice pack is right now.
Alice, like the name, but all dots between. Let's wait for it. Go to right.
The size on there was 17.5 by 13.
17.5 by 13. Okay. So
Taxes like big military backpacks.
I thought it's okay. Looks like a rucksack, kind of. Okay. So I think just based on the Google image search in the audience here, it looks like those pack probably exceeds the, what is it, 17.5 by 13. Those were the dimensions for the backpack on the previous slide. So if you need to check those again, you can check that. But it looks like on first look that that's probably going to exceed those. Anything else? All right. I got nothing else. Thank you for those of you who tuned in. Appreciate it. Thanks for your questions. And if you got any more, avairshow.com is a great start for that. And is there any other place they can go if they have base residents have questions for the air show? Do we have a?
They can email me back at the exec email I sent them.
Okay. There should have been an exec email provided, and that is a great route if you've got further questions that we didn't get addressed here, or if you think of something later so that we can do those.
Or you can always text me.
Or you can always text in for that. So thank you guys very much for those of you who came out and those of you who tuned in and all the questions. And I hope to see everybody out there. Appreciate it.